Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're going to be talking about the lost child. So often on this channel we talk about the family dynamics of what it's like growing up with a narcissistic parent. And as we've talked about, there's different roles that each child plays when you have a narcissistic parent, and that is the golden child, the scapegoat, and the lost child. And I have a video on the scapegoat, which I will leave right here. I have another video on the golden child, but I don't necessarily call it the golden child. I just explain how a narcissist become a narcissist, which I'll leave right here. And so today we're going to talk about the third role that's not talked about a lot, and it so happens to be the lost child, ironically enough. So let's go a little bit into the dynamic. So when you have a narcissistic parent, they have each child play a different role. The reason why the narcissistic parent needs to have their children play different roles is because they have different needs that need to be met, and also they want to pin each other. They want to pin all of you guys against each other, so that way you can't gang up and think that there's anything wrong with what they're doing. So they have the scapegoat, which is the problem child. They're the one that's more independent and more outspoken, so they're the one that they blame for everything. They get their negative supply from that child. Then there is the golden child, where they subconsciously make them just like them, where they can do no wrong, they shield them from everything, and then when that golden child doesn't do exactly what they want, then that child gets severely punished. And these roles can change at any time. So there could be periods of time where you may be in one role or another, but generally you'll find throughout your childhood you kind of fit in one role for a long period of time. And these roles change depending on who is pleasing the narcissist at the time. Now the third role is the lost child, and one of the reasons why it's not talked about a lot is because the lost child is the forgotten one. They're the one where they don't really play a heavy role in the narcissist dynamic with their children, so they just kind of are pushed to the side because they already have the roles that they need being met. And so they're like, okay, you know what, you don't give me any supply or what I need, so I'm gonna neglect you. And so the narcissist sees that they can't really get anything from this child. And you may wonder, how does the narcissist decide who fits what role? And it depends on a few factors. It depends on who takes their bait, who takes to their manipulation, and who has the character traits that they desire or they favor. So the scapegoat is the independent one. They're the inquisitive one. They don't take well to the narcissist manipulation, so they then become the problem child, the one that gets blamed for everything. They project a lot of their insecurities onto the scapegoat. Then there is the golden child, where they are someone who takes well to the manipulation, and also they may have some of these favorite character traits. They see things, the narcissist sees things in them that they like and desire, so then they become the favorite, the golden child, the one that they subconsciously decide is going to be the most like them. And then the lost child doesn't take well to the manipulation, and they also are someone where they may not have traits that the narcissist favors, so then they are pushed to the background. Which it's unfortunate that they think that, because these lost children are actually extremely brilliant and have such creative, beautiful minds. It's just that the narcissistic parent can't see their value and their beauty. And how the lost child becomes the lost child is they see what is happening. They see how dysfunctional their family is. They see how abusive their parent is. They see what happens when they try to get their needs met, how they may get scorned or their needs are not really met. And they see what's happening to their brothers and sisters. They see all this going on, and they see there's no ability to reason with them. So they subconsciously make a decision to stay away from all of them. They gray rock, they limit their demands, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so what happens is these children are terribly neglected and isolated, and so then they have no real guidance, they have no protection, they have no real parenting, so then they don't learn how to socialize, or they don't really get their developmental needs. They don't know how to become their own person. So in order to cope with the lack of their needs being met and the fact that they always feel like they have to isolate from their family, they will daydream, they will fantasize, they will read books, they will get lost into their own fantasy worlds. They may play video games, they may have a favorite toy or pet that maybe they always want to be close to them. They may have imaginary friends, or they may wander alone. Their safe haven is in their mind. That's how they've grown to survive. And this is the effects of all of that isolation. And isolation for a child for their development is really unhealthy. As a child, you need your parent to be able to guide you and teach you how to be an adult, how to be a human being. And so when you don't have that, you have to get creative and try to figure out, okay, how do I meet my own needs? And really with the lost child, they just learn they always need to stay away from others and always trying to protect themselves. So they don't really learn how to develop their own sense of self. So what happens, what this results in, is that if you are a lost child, you will have a lot of shame, you may have a lot of guilt, you'll be very isolated, and you try not to go after your goals or exceed too much because you learned in your home if you did really well, that would give you attention, and then the narcissist would go and try to get something from you. They would try to take away your shine, or they would have expectations of you. And you also didn't want to do too badly because, again, that would bring attention to yourself. It's all about not trying to get attention to yourself. So you would try not to do badly because then that would result in the narcissist being mean to you, or, you know, berating you. So you would try not to do badly either. You try not to get in trouble, you try not to have bad grades, so you always tried to stay in the middle. Your goal was always to be invisible. And so because you feel so badly about yourself, or you feel like you need to be invisible, or you feel very unlovable, and you know that you can't ask for your needs, it results in something negative, you will feel like a burden anytime you need something. Or if you speak up or you say something, you will feel like you're in the way and you're a burden. So in order to cope with these feelings of being unburdened, you will always try to be independent as much as possible. You have a really hard time being able to identify when you need help, and you may not even realize that it's an option to ask for help, so you don't. So you try to be really independent. And if you can't get your needs met, then you will compromise your needs for others. You will make sure everyone else's needs are met before your own. You never really learned what you actually needed and how to give yourself your needs, but you know how to give to others, you know how to read the room, you know how to check temperatures, you're an observer. And so what happens is, because you are a giver and you give up so much of yourself, you will then attract narcissistic or toxic, very emotionally absent or abusive people. That's with friends or relationships. And that's partially because they're similar to what you know, and you're like, oh, this is familiar, I know this is how people are. And also, because those types of people are very manipulative in the beginning, they'll give you a lot of validation. They may give you guidance, they may kind of take that parental role because they learn, oh, you know, I can manipulate this person by doing this for them. Then you will feel like a hole is being filled. You're like, oh, they get me, like I'm finally being loved, but really it's pure manipulation. And so then you become addicted to this person because you feel finally whole and like you're being seen or heard, or you may feel like they really get you and you're able to talk to them. But really it will just wind up where they will control you and manipulate you. And also, because you didn't develop your own sense of self and you do have very low self-esteem, those people will be very attracted to you. The narcissist will see, oh, this person's very easy to control. And so when you, the lost child, attracts these abusive relationships, you again will be reminded how lonely you feel and how rejected you feel, especially when you had thought that this person got you. So there's that. And then also, you as a lost child will have a lot of social anxiety. So naturally, because they didn't learn how to socialize, since you didn't learn how to socialize as a lost child, you fear interpersonal relationships. you fear very close relationships. You've seen with your narcissistic parent, it was dangerous when you had these relationships, so now you're very afraid when people try to get close to you. You don't know how to have that dynamic, and so people will be maybe scary to you. You may have a very hard time communicating with others. You may be very passive. You may get very choked up when you need to talk to others. You may have been forced into this introverted, shy role when that's maybe not who you truly are. Because again, you didn't really get to develop that sense of self. So you maybe don't know how to have friends, or if you do have friends, they're just a small bunch, and maybe you still have a hard time being really able to be vulnerable or communicate with them. They're more dynamics where it's very one-sided, or if you do ask for things, it's very subtle and you don't do it too often. So again, it's just constant, that loneliness, even when you are trying to connect with others. So being the lonely child is a very tough role, but it doesn't mean you're doomed forever. So how do you stop being this lost child? Well, one, like we always talk about, you need to find yourself. So you need to discover who you are. Discover the things that you like, discover the things that you don't like. You know, strip away the person that you felt like you had to be and really come into your own. Another thing is that you need to be your own parent. So you need to use a lot of that self-parenting language, and you need to give your inner child what you needed, because on a regular basis you're operating out of that scared inner child. So you need to talk to yourself, and anytime you notice you need to isolate or going to your old unhealthy coping mechanisms, when you're going to that fantasy world, say, hey, listen, I know that I'm trying to protect myself right now, but I don't need that protection. I'm safe. It's okay to be in reality. I'm an adult now where I can create my own reality, my own beautiful reality, where it doesn't have to be so scary and dangerous. So thank your inner child for trying to protect you, but let them know, hey, I don't need this. So that means breaking that role of being that lost child and taking yourself out of that dream world and finding your voice. You want to learn how to speak up and communicate what's going on. This goes back to discovering yourself, identifying your needs, setting boundaries with others, really coming into your own, and being okay with asking for what you need, and seeing it's not so dangerous, because most people are not going to be like your narcissistic parent. I say that word all day long, I swear. And even if they are, you know their true selves, and you don't want those type of people in your life to begin with. You know who's a genuine person when you start to be yourself, when you start to speak up and use your voice, and you'll see how they respond to that. So start to take mini risks, start to speak up a little bit, share your opinion, share little things, especially with people that you feel comfortable with and you trust. Get out of your head and come into what's going on, be in the present. So take little risks, share something, see what happens. You'll see it's not so dangerous, and then you'll get more and more comfortable as time goes on. And when you take those small risks, you'll see how they respond, and then you'll decide, okay, this is someone I want to continue to have in my life because they take well to what I'm saying, or oh, I noticed that they're not taking well and they're actually making it a very negative experience, so now I don't want this person in my life. Even if someone disagrees with what they're saying, but they do it in a respectful way, that's still a person that you would want in your life, rather than someone who gaslights you or dismisses you or belittles you. That's someone you don't want in your life. And you also want to accept that there will be conflicts and issues, but it doesn't mean that it's going to result in this big disaster. You want those conflicts because then it's when you're really getting to know someone and you can really work through these problems. It just takes a lot of soothing yourself, a practice, and seeing that it's okay to be yourself, and it's not fair what happened to you. You need to give yourself that empathy, and also see that you don't need to feel like you are this burden. You're a beautiful, creative person. So what do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. So my dog currently has doggy dementia. She is a senior citizen. And every single night at 4 a.m., she goes and barks at a chair. I don't know if she's seen ghosts. I don't know if she thinks someone's there. But I'm tired because I have to then get her and rub her head to get her to go back to sleep. Anyone have any suggestions? aside from getting Sage and getting rid of this ghost that she's seeing. I don't even know. You're so beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. You're the best baby in the whole world. In my dream world, I would make you stay with me forever.